Hi, I'm Mark Harris from OpticsPlanet, and I want to talk to you today about some of my favorite holsters. Some of you might be wondering, since we're in Illinois, why I'm talking about concealed carry holsters and which ones I use. I actually have an out-of-state permit that through reciprocity allows me to carry in 30 some odd states. So when I'm traveling, I do actually use these holsters. Everything you see on the table here, I actually own and use. This is a DeSantis mini scabbard, $41 and change. I've been using this more than anything else lately when I travel. I don't have much of a butt, and it's kind of hard for me to conceal a large gun, so I like flat guns and I like flat holsters. This is not my primary choice for summer carry because this is a belt holster and not an inside the pant holster. If it's spring or fall and I'm in some place where I can wear a covering garment like a shirt or a jacket, I really like this holster because the leather in the holster, I want to say thin. Thin's not a bad thing in this case. Thin doesn't mean that it's sloppy or cheaply made. It just means that it doesn't have excessive bulk to it. Another thing I like about this holster is it has a belt tunnel instead of loops on the side. It's really important that you match up your belt to your holster because you want the holster to be in the same spot every time you go to draw. You don't want it to rock and you don't want it to move around. This belt tunnel matches my Galco gun belt very well and it stays put. Right out of the bag when I bought this a few months ago, my Glock 36 slipped right in. I didn't have to go through any kind of break-in. It has enough retention to hold the gun. The only thing that's holding the gun in here, there's no thumb brake, so it's just a friction fit. But for the price, I really think this can't be beat. This is an outstanding intersection of price and performance. It's leather, has that nice leather smell when you take it out of the bag. It's got a tension screw, so if you want to tighten it up a little bit and have a little more or a little less, you can do that with it. But again, I carry my Glock 36 in it. It's very nice and narrow, and the holster doesn't add any bulk to the gun itself. I'm fortunate enough to be the current owner of our family farm. I've been in the family for some over 100 years, got almost 100 acres in Tennessee, and I like to knock around in the woods in the spring and the fall. I like the Blackhawk CQC if I'm out in the woods. This is a polymer holster. It's actually a carbon fiber composite, and it really doesn't matter if this thing gets knocked around. It's not a leather holster, so it doesn't matter if it gets wet. It doesn't absorb moisture. It's not going to stretch out. This is a level 2 holster. What's really nice about this, if you draw the gun like you're supposed to and you keep your finger parallel to the frame and out of the trigger, your finger drops right where it should be on this holster. All you have to do is press it in, the gun comes out. When you reholster, really nice satisfying click and it's locked in nice and tight. Blackhawk makes a display for this holster that's made out of steel. A little platform you stand on, there's a holster and a fake gun in it. You can stand on it and kind of get the sense of where the gun will be, how it works. What I like to do with that display is get off of it, grab the fake gun, and lift that probably 25-30 pound steel display up, and the gun doesn't let loose. Really beautiful thing about this holster is you can adjust the belt loop or the paddle, comes with both. You can adjust for completely vertical. There are 3 degrees of backward cant, 3 degrees of forward cant. You can also change the belt loops. It'll go anywhere from about 1 inch to 2 inches. You can also change the height of it. So I think we figured out one day you've got something like 14 holsters in total when you take this thing out of the bag. Comes in a variety of colors. If I'm out running around like a crazy man and I'm wearing my multicam, I like this coyote tan, but it also comes in matte black. It comes in a matte green, comes in coyote tan. You can also get what's called carbon fiber finish. All of the CQC SERPA holsters are carbon fiber composite, but there's also a finish called carbon fiber finish, where there's an applique wrapped around this. It's kind of neat looking. I wouldn't call it a concealment holster because it's kind of bright and shiny, but it's just an outstanding holster. Also, they make quite a number of accessories for it. One of my favorite ones is drop leg platform. The holster's about, I think a little less than $30. The platform's about $50, but again, taking these 3 screws out of the back, You can attach it to this drop leg platform at any angle you like. It'll also accept external magazine holders. Then this drops on your thigh. It's a heck of a system for the price. You cannot beat the value of this holster. So if it's summertime and I'm in one of the states where I can legally carry, because I've got no butt and I can't really conceal a nice wide high capacity gun, I like the Glock 36, 45 caliber. It's a very narrow gun, so I don't want to bulk that gun up by having a holster that's too thick. This is made by Galco and it's called the Sky Ops. This is probably my favorite concealable holster. A couple of real nice features to this. This is what's called a tuckable holster. All that means is that once this is attached to your belt and the holster is inside your pants, there's an area between here where you can tuck your shirt. So this gun can be absolutely concealed while you're wearing a shirt tucked in. If you're out to some formal affair out for the evening, you can dress like you'd normally dress for a situation like that and wear this holster. Very nice feature by Galco. Instead of having a belt tunnel or a belt loop or a flap, they have this really interesting Y hook, they call it. Comes in two different sizes for two different width belts. It has a little bit of leeway where you can wear narrower belts, but what's really nice about it, these three attachment points, two on the top and one on the bottom, when this is on your belt, those 3 points are all that are visible. If that's on a black belt, you've got to really be looking for that. It's not like some holsters where you're standing in line at the grocery store and anybody that knows about guns or holsters sees some kind of attachment on your belt and knows that's a gun that you've got. Big sign, gun, gun, gun. So this is really hard to detect. I was wearing this holster the first time that I carried out of state with my new permit. I was in Ohio at a rest stop, holding the leash for a buddy's dog, and a state trooper pulled up and I started sweating bullets, pardon the pun. But I felt like everybody within a 20-mile radius knew I was carrying a gun, and guy walked right past me, nodded, and I just felt greatly relieved. But it's a testament to the concealability of this Galco Sky Ops holster. I mentioned the two different sizes for this. There's a screw that can be removed here. You swap it out very easily. Also, you can just put this on the other side. Now you've got a left-hand holster. So this is a truly ambidextrous holster. Again, the leather is not excessively bulky. This fit just right out of the box from Galco, and it had that marvelous Galco smell that you expect from their products. So this is really nice for me because it's thin. It matches my, my body shape, which is kind of like a fire plug, and I really like this holster. So I just spent a week in Pigeon Forge on vacation with my wife's family, and it was about, it's pretty close to 100 degrees all week, so I had to dress for the occasion, legally carrying my concealed Glock 36, and that week I used this Bianchi 3S. It's about $56, $56.99. Feature that I really like about this holster, this is an inside the pant holster. If you undo this, back off this brass screw, there's a ratchet in the center with a ball detent, and you can get an infinite angle. You could wear this holster upside down if you needed to, but since being in Pigeon Forge, kind of a tourist trap, there's a lot of different things to do. Who knows where we're going to be, what we're going to be doing. So I wanted something that had a thumb brake, so I had some degree of retention in case I ended up, you know, on a slide or hanging upside down in a tree or something like that with my nieces. The only complaint that I have about this holster, and it's not really much of a complaint, I just changed the belt color, but I wish Bianchi offered this in black. That'd be very nice. The only other comment or suggestion I might have is on this, this snap, the belt goes through here, you slip this down, tighten this up. It'd be nice if you wanted to wear a shirt tucked in if this didn't say Bianchi and Glock on here, because it doesn't always pay to advertise. Other than that, in the summertime, I wear this holster quite a bit. It seems to hold up well against perspiration. Another good reason I like Glocks, this thing in 100-degree heat for 6 days in a row, and there was no perspiration problems, no rust on the Glock. But from the factory, right out of the bag, I had no issues with having to work this holster to get this retention strap. It fit perfectly. Somebody at Bianchi's doing a really good job. Also, if you have the opportunity to look at Bianchi holsters, notice the stitching, notice how even it is. This is a really well-made holster. Also has a strap that runs around the gun to hold the mouth of the holster open for reholstering. That can be kind of important if you need to get this back in, because if you're involved in shooting and police show up, you don't want to be the guy holding the gun. So it's important with any concealment holster to be able to reholster quickly. I've got really nothing bad to say about this. You just have to match the belt to it so this doesn't stick out like a sore thumb, and you're good to go. Okay, pop quiz. Who in the audience is old enough to remember the Miami Vice TV show with Crockett and Tubbs? Some of you might recognize this holster. It's called the Miami Classic. Crockett wore a Bren 10 in a Galco product. Back then, Galco was called the original Jackass Leather Company, and they were based out of Chicago. And that show really put them on the map. A lot of people started buying their holsters, and now they've got a huge facility in Arizona with a lot of giant sewing machines that could probably punch through a car hood. So like everybody else that watched the show, everybody had to run out and get a shoulder holster. I went to Thunder Ranch, took Defensive Handgun 101, and the instructor, Clint Smith, mentioned that the fastest reload is actually a second gun. So I purchased my first two Miami Classics before I started working at OpticsPlanet and paid full boat for them. And after I got here, I bought this rig. And as it comes for about 150 bucks, it comes with one holster, and it comes with a double magazine pouch on the offside. With full magazines in here, it'll kind of balance out the weight. I decided that the best way to balance out that weight, and also based on what Clint Smith told me, I decided to buy the S3H shoulder holster component for my left hand on the right side, and that balances out the weight really nicely because I have two identical guns. One thing you really have to be aware of with any type of single or double shoulder holster rig is that it's not as fast as a draw from a belt holster. Second in speed is probably an inside the pant holster. This is a little bit further down the line. When you draw this, you're going to be covering a 180-degree arc because the muzzle is pointing at the people behind you. Also, they're not the best for really long barrel guns like a full-size 1911 5-inch, because at least on my body, that's going to produce a telltale lump on your jacket. But just remember, with this, you're going to be describing a 180-degree arc, so you have to be really careful of your finger on the trigger and the direction of your muzzle. About the only time I wear this holster, if I'm not locking the doors, dropping the shades, and looking at myself in the mirror in my double shoulder holster rig, is in the wintertime if I'm traveling and I'm carrying legally. Normally I've got on a big sweater that kind of hangs down a little bit, and an inside the pant holster. I've got to deal with pulling things up and drawing. So this is nice to where I can put this on, I can throw a big jacket on over it. Normally the jacket will hang correctly to where, as long as I don't lean forward and let things dangle, I'm in good shape. But properly adjusted, when this comes from the factory, you've got quite a bit of extra adjustment here. What I did was, and please do this too because it'll solve the problem you having to buy another harness for this, but these are called Chicago screws. You can take them apart and adjust it so you have it comfortable for yourself and will draw well. What I like to tell people to do is adjust it, and before you cut off that extra, wear it for a few days, because the leather's going to stretch a little bit, and also you're going to be real excited, so you think this holster harness is going to fit really well, and it really doesn't after a couple days. So once you do get it adjusted, you can take a quarter and lay on this strap, take a nice sharp knife, and you can make a beautiful cut on this to where it looks like it came from the factory, and you don't have some kind of jagged line that looks like you did it with your teeth. Again, it's kind of use holster, limited purpose holster, because obviously you're not going to run down to the beach in this. It is kind of handy concealment wise if you are wearing a coat. If you're at the supermarket and you reach up on a top shelf for a can of beans or something and your jacket rides up, you can expose a traditional belt holster or an inside the pant holster. So they do have their place. I wouldn't advise against it, but I like it. It's a nice holster and it lets me carry both my Glocks. One thing you might want to consider if you are carrying a legally concealed handgun is an additional magazine. Murphy's Law says that anything that can go wrong will, and if you're only carrying one magazine and that goes south, you can be in a really bad spot. My favorite of the group is the Bianchi 20A. This runs about $28.99. This particular model is made for the Glock 17, Glock 19. I found it works really well with my single stack 45 for my Glock 36. There's no retention except for the friction. Fits very nicely. Got a very strong belt clip on the back, and you can get this either in black, which shows no wear whatsoever. This model I've had for pretty close to 20 years, and it's showing a little bit of wear on it, but it's still nicely done. Bianchi does a really good job with their tanning, so no matter what you've got, if you've got a black rig or you've got a tan rig, you can find something that'll match up your gear.